Hello, this is Aquisha Harris, and welcome to our 10-minute talk that we have on Tuesdays. Last week we were not here. So sorry. With the holiday and everything like that, I just did not plan properly. But anyway, let's talk today about something that we've all have said, okay? And I'm going to just tell you, this is my story. We know 10-minute talks. I share my personal stories, and hopefully you can learn something from them, okay? So last week I had to tell my son, stop crying. Stop crying. Right? Now, granted, when you hear anybody tell a young man that, especially a young Black boy, that it is reminiscent of what was in the past. It's reminiscent of, what older men have been told growing up, and now they're like emotionally unavailable, right? But let me tell you, so that you don't judge me prematurely. And don't forget, like this, share this, comment, because I always want to know what your thoughts are. And, I like to have dialogue and all the things. Okay. So I told my son, stop crying. He and his older brother were wrestling. And with a house of 5 boys, that's not far-fetched. They're always going to be wrestling, tumbling, slapping, hitting, flatulating, and just doing obscene things that I'm told comes with the territory. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, so he was wrestling and play fighting with his older brother. Now, granted, it started out as play. And I had to observe. I was there the whole time, and I had to be like the referee. And if you have boys, you understand what it's like to be the referee, okay? In the middle of you also being the short order cook and the waitress. So whatever. So they're play fighting and they're wrestling. And I'm watching, making sure, because we have boundaries, no hits in the face. No taking out anybody's legs, because we have athletes around here and we need our legs. Okay, so we're getting return on investment on our legs. But anyway, said no legs, no undercuts, no hits in the face, none of those things. Okay, and they were fighting, wrestling. So the younger brother seemingly had an advantage until the older brother did some kind of maneuver and pinned him, right? So by this time they were on the couch, and it was just like on the couch and against the wall in this weird position. The younger brother, who initiated this play, began to get upset and irate and panicking almost, right? He was, my stomach. Ow, that's my head. I can't breathe. And he was about to cry. I told him, don't cry. Do not cry. He was like, Mom, but I said, don't cry. Think. Control your emotions and think. I say, you're not in pain. You're just uncomfortable. Think. And I said that over and over and over to him, because it was a learning lesson. It was, I'll dive into it. But after I told him that a few more times, he settled himself. He got himself together, and he thought his way out of the situation. He came up with some other maneuver. He saw an opening and he did something crazy looking, but he was able to get out of it, right? And now, of course, after he got out of it, they started talking trash and everything. By that time, I was over it. I'm like, everybody clean up. It's time for bed. No more fighting. Thank you. But in that moment, he had to realize something. And of course, we talked about it afterward. That's why I'm sharing it with y'all now. When we talked to him, I said, do you understand what I'm saying? He said, yeah, Mom, I do. I said, because you're going to be faced with situations that are uncomfortable. You're going to be faced with situations that will cause you to panic. You're going to be faced with situations that seem painful, but they don't hurt you, right? Just the perception of it seems painful, but you're only reacting to what you see. You're reacting to what you presume. Control your emotions so that you can think. I was just like, oh my God, that's a word for everybody. That is a word to the wise for everybody. Because when we want our emotions to a lot of us deal like that in life. We allow our emotions to take over and to dictate how we should move forward. When in reality, emotions are our indicator, right? They let us know something. They're our red flags. They send off signals and alarms. But it's up to us, as we have better self-control and understanding and social awareness and self-awareness. We have to understand, am I in present danger? Am I physically hurt right now? How do I get out of it? I need to be able to process these emotions. I need to be able to gather them and then use my logic, use my brain to get out of this situation. And a lot of times you are going to be in pain. And you might be in a dangerous situation where you don't have time to cry. You can be in pain. My son wasn't at that time, but helping him understand that you actually have control over your emotions. These things happen. They seem spontaneous, but you have control over your emotions because your emotions are a part of your soul. That's your inner man. That's your inner person, right? Your soul is comprised of your mind, your will, and your emotions, your intellect, your imagination, all of those things. It's the invisible part of you. So as we grow, especially young men and young Black boys, they need to understand that, yes, I have these emotions, they are present, but how do I move forward from here? Am I in a situation where I absolutely need to cry and let it out? And if that is the call, if that situation calls for it, absolutely. If somebody hurt your feelings, or, if somebody disappointed you or let you down, and you may be walking home, or you may be sitting doing your homework, or sitting in your room, whatever, you may be talking amongst your friends, and that emotion, talking about it, you may need to cry. And that is the environment to do that. Absolutely. I'm not against men crying at all. I'm not against boys crying. I'm not against boys showing their emotions. But in that situation, he had to understand this was an opportunity for me to harness these things, understand what's going on, take control of my emotions, and process them and use logic, right? It was so many different things that was going on, and his default was panicking. His default was crying. We couldn't allow that to happen. We just absolutely couldn't allow that to happen, because you have to understand his strength in that situation was in his logic. When he didn't allow the frantic feelings, the anxiety, the panic to overwhelm him and cloud his judgment, but for him to understand that, oh, I can control these things. I can hold this back. I can put this on the back burner and use my brain and use logic to get out of this situation. And then whatever emotions I feel afterward, after I'm in a safe place, then I can process and let the emotions run. I mean, healthily, because it's not just crying as an emotion, anger, rage, all of those things are emotions too. So when he was in that safe place, he didn't even feel the need. He was no longer panicking. He was no longer anxious. He was no longer in that situation than he was prior to. And I was just like, wow, I wonder how many young men have ever heard that, have ever been freed to be able to use logic and not allow their emotions to rule them. Because when we just say emotional, the first thing you think about is crying. But no, emotions are absolutely anger. It's sadness. It's like a whole, it's so many emotions. Like, I can't even go through them all. I remember this wheel. That's why I had to pause, because I remember like this emotion wheel, and I was just like trying to remember all of them, but I couldn't. But anyway, one emotion that I know is very prevalent in young Black men, especially ones who are deemed troubled or disruptive, could be anger, right? It shows as anger. It presents itself as anger, but it could also be sadness. But even in those situations, young men go off of their emotions, but we have to teach them how to have self-control, how to create safe places, or find safe places where you can just let your hair down and just bear it all and be vulnerable. But those other situations where you have to guard your heart, have self-control, and process what's going on around you, so that your logic is kicking in, and your self-awareness is kicking in, and your social awareness is kicking in to keep you safe. I mean, that's okay. But anyway, I hope this helped you, and I hope that you are able to maybe use this. Maybe you have used this. I don't know. Share this, comment. Remember all the stuff that I said. All right. Now, I love you, and hopefully you'll tune in on Thursday, because that's our principal corner. Okay. That's where I talk about some more things regarding youth and the state of education. All right, I love y'all. Have a great, great, wonderful day. Talk to you later. Bye.